Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pitch Side Podcast. I'm your host, the HOD of the BSB. Like, share, comment on the YouTube version, subscribe to the YouTube channel, enable notifications to receive all the updates. Follow us on social media, the usernames are on screen, the links are in the description, and of course, listen on Spotify, Google Podcast, or any other platform. Welcome to the newest episode of the Pitch Side Podcast. We kick things off by talking about the African Cup of Nations, of course, the continuous action from the group stage, or the recap actually for that group stage, by groups E and F, and I think to the surprise of no one really, Algeria left the tournament. I'm saying the surprise of no one as if they were really, favourite to go out of the group stages. They were not. But I think looking at the three games in the group stages, they deserve to go out. Definitely, they didn't perform at the level that we expect champions to perform at. A team that is super favourite to win the tournament, a team that is favourite to do things in the World Cup, according to that coach at the very least. Who knows? It wasn't shocking if you look at the game. It definitely wasn't. Ivory Coast played way better than Algeria. There was no rhythm, energy. There was even no soul for Algeria. It didn't feel like Algeria could win the game or could do any damage to Ivory Coast at any point of the game. They even missed a penalty. They scored later on in the game with Bendipka, but the goal didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. And Ivory Coast just battered them from pillar to post. That's what I could say. It was genuinely depressing if you're an Algerian fan to watch that game, because it's not about losing to Ivory Coast. It's fine to lose to Ivory Coast, but the manner that they lost to Ivory Coast is completely disappointing and depressing. The midfield was absolutely dominated by the trio of Ivory Coast in Franck Kessié and SerieA, and also Ibrahima Sangare, the scorer of the second goal. Another set piece defended badly from Algeria. What is the problem there, really? So you definitely have to ask yourself a question now about this Algerian side. Are they oversaturated? Are they sort of arrogant to, they caused themselves any damage with this arrogance before the tournament because they entered as super favourites and they didn't enter as a team that needs more instead of a team that is just, had enough success per se. Ivory Coast, on the other hand, proving that they are one of the best sides in the tournament as well. I was impressed. This is the first proper game I watched for them. I watched bits and pieces from their first two games, but this is the first proper game, and I'm really inclined to say that they have the upper hand against Egypt in the round of 16, because they will need them, of course. And I feel that Ivory Coast really have the better of Egypt at the moment. They feel like the better team. Definitely perform better, feel more cohesive, I would say. They have a lot of ideas of what they're going to do on the pitch. They don't seem to be... seem lost in the shuffle, I would say, like Egypt do. Just back to Algeria, one more point. It's not the end of the road, obviously, for them. They still have the playoffs for the World Cup. The draw is going to be tomorrow. They definitely want to have some more success in that situation, definitely want to recompensate for that. Now, I think where the hunger comes back for Algeria after this disappointment, they want to prove themselves back again to their people, to the journalists, to everyone else, to everyone that's gonna, make memes and comics about them, that they are still the strong team that they are now, and they will qualify to the World Cup. They will see who's going to be playing in the playoffs, and of course, we wish them all luck and success. Moving on to Group F. Of course, before that, the other game in Group E ended with Equatorial Guinea beating Leone, so it's Ivory Coast first and Equatorial Guinea second. 7 points for Ivory Coast. Equatorial Guinea with 4 points, and with 6 points actually, and Leone with 2, while Algeria finished bottom, unfortunately, with 1 point. To Group F, and my group, I'm really disappointed as well. I don't know how to start. But we lost against Gambia, or the Gambia, as I want to call it. It's one of those losses that's disappointing as well, similar to the one, even probably more than the one Algeria had, because this is a team that didn't look sharp at all, in my opinion. I'm Tunisian, and I should be the first to, sort of cover to my team's faults, but I'm not going to do so. Yes, we had loads of players injured, loads of players COVID, of course, not injuries, but loads of players had COVID, didn't have players fit enough by this time. I'm probably going to have also some players not fit enough by the time we face Nigeria in the round of 16. Spoilers alert. So definitely, it might be really hard for us to recover before the game against Nigeria, knowing that Nigeria are very good, knowing that they're very, very strong at the moment and very physical, particularly in the middle of the park, which we were lacking throughout this tournament. Mauritania is no reference point. I said it. It's no reference point. It's no measuring stick. Mauritania is Mauritania. You beat them 4-0. That's it. But against a side like Gambia, they played a very, very tight 5-4-1. They know what they're doing. They tightened the spaces really well. They played high enough to not allow us to sort of make those movements that we liked, like Mauritania, who sat deep and allowed us the ball and allowed us the pitch and the space to go through. Gambia didn't do that. And obviously with the absentees that we had due to COVID, it was even more complicated and we couldn't really do much about it in the fact. I'm trying to remember now, watching the game, I'm trying to remember now how many real chances we create, how many real opportunities we had. I think it was about 1 or 2 throughout the whole game. The whole game was like crosses, trying to cross from the right, cross from the left, long balls through, no real movement through the middle. We tried a lot through the middle, but no real effect. So definitely, this is a result that we're not going to like, and the coach has to do a lot of things to sort of rectify the path before the game against Nigeria. And I know we're not favourites, and we have probably 10% or 20% chance to beat Nigeria, but I'm not going to be hedging my bets now. I'm going to see what's going to happen. We've been through worse, I think, before. Yes, our recent record against Nigeria doesn't speak well for 4 losses and a draw in the last, or 4 draws and a loss in the last 5 games. Of course, the loss was against them in 2019. But definitely, we have a chance. We have a chance if we recover a couple of players. The fitness is going to be an issue because there's only 3 days between the last match and the round of 16 match, because we're playing on Sunday. And of course, the travel, we're going to move to Garoua to face Nigeria because they're top of their group. It's going to be something of a stretch for you to say that we're going to beat Nigeria, but we have to do what we have to do and try and ride our luck till the end in this tournament. In the other game, of course, in the group, no surprise, Mali defeated Mauritania 2-0 and finished on top of the group. Goals from Sadio Haidar in the 2nd minute and Ibrahim Akone in the 49th minute meant that Mali are going to be top in the group, beating Mauritania 2-0. Mali are playing Equatorial Guinea in the round of 16, of course, while we play Nigeria. The full run of the round of 16 is like this. Burkina Faso is playing Gabon on Sunday 23rd, as well as we play Tunisia, of course, play Nigeria. That's going to be in Garoua. Guinea play Gambia on the 24th, as well as Cameroon playing Comoros. Senegal playing Cape Verde on the 25th, with Morocco playing Malawi. And Ivory Coast playing Egypt on the 26th of January, with Mali playing Equatorial Guinea on the same day. Good luck for us, and hopefully we'll ride our luck till the end in this tournament. We'll make a quick stop now and we move on to European football. Actually, we make a quick stop in Spain as action from Copa del Rey round of 16 continued, of course, and actually was capped off by Real Madrid and Barcelona being in action. Real Madrid managed a win against Elche, 2-1, away, of course. It was a very tough win. Although Real Madrid expectedly rested a lot of players due to the Super Cup, of course, and action is in the league on the weekend, so they definitely needed to rest players. And Leone was in the goalkeeping position. Federico Valverde started. Modric was rested as well. Camavinga had a start. Luka Jovic started as a striker instead of Karim Benzema, who's rested completely out of the list. I think he deserves it. And it was a tough win. You could still expect this side to beat Elche, anyway, but sometimes you need someone like Modric and Casemiro in the middle anyway. This game wasn't without its fair share of craziness, of course. Elche scored in the 102nd minute of extra time to give themselves the lead. Marcelo was sent off for a professional last man foul. Before that, we thought that the game was going to be really, really rough for Real Madrid. But there's where your players come in. That's where quality comes in. Isco scored Another lucky goal, I would say, like the one he scored against Alcoyano. But Eden Hazard comes in with one of the most important goals of the season for Real Madrid to keep them in the Copa del Rey and get them to the quarter-final, of course. With I think a very well rounded goal, very well finished goal outside around the goalkeeper and into the net. An important goal, obviously, for Real Madrid. Elche had a man sent off in the end, Peremia, for an argument with the referee, and Real Madrid see themselves through to the quarterfinals to join the likes of Sociedad, Valencia, Real Betis, Cadiz, Rayo Vallecano, and Mallorca. No second league, no third league sides in this Copa del Rey quarterfinal. And there will be no Barcelona as well, because they were beaten by Athletic Club 3-2. And also in extra time. I mean, it was a crazy old game. Athletic Club went ahead as early as 2 minutes, thanks to Iker Muniain, but assist of Nico Williams. Ferran Torres, Barcelona's new signing, got his first goal with the club, equalising for them in 20 minutes. Then Athletic Club again from Inigo Martinez scored in the 86th minute from a set piece. Badly defended, I think, from Barcelona. You know, they should look at themselves again. And then, of course, equaliser from Pedri in the 93rd minute. The beautiful, I would say, flick from Dani Alves as an assist. I want to say that anyway. And then, of course, in the extra time, penalty was awarded for Athletic Club. A penalty that was controversial because Barcelona thought there was a foul on Luke de Jong, on Frankie de Jong, sorry, before it. But the penalty, I think, was the right decision as far as the penalty is concerned. But should it be given, considering there was a foul, I think, on Frankie de Jong or not, it's still controversial. Iker Muniain converted that and gave Athletic Club the qualification. They will meet Real Madrid in the quarterfinal. They're set to meet them in the quarterfinal, of course. The winner of these two games will meet each other next, of course. Then you have Real Sociedad are going to be playing Cadiz in that quarterfinal. Rayo Vallecano is going to play Betis in the quarterfinal as well. And the fourth quarterfinal is Valencia versus Mallorca. And thus, Barcelona's defense for the Copa del Rey ends in the round of 16. We turn our attention now to the weekend action in around, of course, the top leagues in Europe, and we start as usual with the Premier League. It's round 23 of the league. Of course, it kicks off on Friday night with Watford versus Norwich City in a relegation scrap. Of course, 17th versus 18th at the moment. Both of them on some bad results, although Norwich City, their latest victory against Everton, might give them hope that they could turn the season around, although it's really pretty tough when you look at the standings of the table. 6 points behind Everton, who have games in hand. Watford have games in hand, so you think it's almost impossible. On Saturday, the Super Saturday in the Premier League starts with Everton versus Aston Villa. Everton under their new manager, or their returning manager, Duncan Ferguson. I mean, it seems like whenever they need an emergency coach, they just bring him back from whatever place. I mean, he's always there in the dugout of Everton. He's always in the technical staff, but they seem to be, using him or using him as the rescue pad, I think, at the moment. Everton hopefully brings some good results until they find a permanent manager, which doesn't really look likely at the moment. Brentford play Wolverhampton, of course, Leeds United, Newcastle United. Manchester United have a tough task to face hosting West Ham at home. Don't let the results against Brentford fool you. We talked about it, I think, on the Thursday episode. It doesn't really fill the fans with joy. It doesn't really sound that good, actually, in reality, the result, because the circumstances of that result were really, the devil hides in the details. It didn't perform that well. It's just that they capitalized on mistakes, and that's it. It didn't perform in generally really well. So the game's still pretty tough as far as Man United are concerned. And this is a big game for them in terms of keeping the top four chase. Of course, beating West Ham would mean that they would get even closer. They would get over them, actually, in the table with a couple of games in hand. Is going to be a great situation if they do that. Southampton play Man City away with, I think, or host Man City at the St. Mary's, of course. I don't really see a world where Man City does not beat Southampton. They are on a real great form. 12 games in a row in the league. And, you cannot see a world where City cannot beat Southampton, as I mentioned, away from home. Yes, they drew against them at the Etihad 0-0, but things are different now. Much, much, much different, I think. City are on their very good way towards a fourth title in 5 years, so I really doubt that Southampton will do a lot to stop them anyway. Arsenal play Burnley, that's on Sunday, of course. Big game for Arsenal, losing in the EFL Cup semi-final against Liverpool, being eliminated, losing 2-0 at home. They need to bounce back, and I think Burnley might be the perfect opportunity to bounce back, although not exactly the greatest of record, particularly for Arteta against Burnley. They played 4 times, they drew twice, and they each side had a victory to its name. And surprisingly, those victories are Burnley went victorious in the Emirates, and Arteta defeated Burnley 3-0 in the Turf Moor. Crystal Palace are going to be playing Liverpool, still without Salah and Mane. Liverpool, of course, both of them still in the African Cup of Nations. Good win against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. They're trying to rotate, they're trying to play their youngsters, trying to use the best they can of their squad. Diogo Jota came in to produce the goods yesterday with 2 goals, maybe continues his form. Crystal Palace at offside under Patrick Vieira, doing really well in the league, I think. But I generally feel that Liverpool should keep on the momentum going if they want to have any smidget of a chance of making something look like a title race in the Premier League this season. Leicester City face Brighton Hove Albion, still with a pretty depleted squad. So they don't really, they don't really seem like a cohesive side when you look at the injuries. Of course, they have to almost think about a lineup every game now, Brendan Rodgers, and he's facing a side in Graham Potter's Brighton that are really, really intense, really tenacious. They will fight for every ball, they will fight for everything on the pitch, so they really need to be careful, I think. Leicester City, I really fancy Brighton maybe even getting a draw at the very least at the King Power Stadium in that game. And then, of course, the biggest of all is Chelsea Spurs on Sunday. This is a big game for both sides. Obviously, for Chelsea, the recent record for them, they haven't been this good. They haven't been in a good form at all. Losing to Man City, again, excusable, but the way they did that hurts. Only 1 victory in the last 6 games in the league. You look at their record at home as well, in the last couple of matches, the draws against Brighton and Liverpool in the league. Yes, they defeated Tottenham in the Cup, and I think that's going to give them an edge. That's going to give them an advantage as far as Chelsea are concerned. Tottenham are looking for a win. They've never beaten them in like the last 10 games or so in the league. The advantage for Chelsea, of course. And Tottenham, without Son, looking to trying to improve themselves, try to rekindle sort of their momentum. The win against Leicester, of course, important win, dramatic and very meaningful. It's going to be very uplifting for the players. Of course, Conte is going to probably drilling more energy into his players now with this victory, motivating them to do better. Kane finally scoring in that game. It's all fun and well looks for Tottenham at the moment. Maybe they'll get over the loss on the Carabao Cup. They go to Chelsea again. For them, it's a game about the top 4. It's a game about getting back to the right spots in the league and trying to get closer and closer to West Ham. For Chelsea, it's about gaining momentum again. It's about rebuilding the confidence, I think, with all their problems and the attacking issues and the defensive issues they started to have at the moment. And they definitely still in the contention for those, as I mentioned, 3 trophies yesterday. They need to win one of them, in my opinion. But again, it's all about momentum. It's a big game. It's a London derby. And, Tottenham will see this as a big chance to get another away victory, maybe, amongst all the mess and all the confusion that Chelsea are having at the moment. Maybe to go over West Ham with 3 games in hand for them as well. So that's going to be really, really massive if Tottenham manage the victory. The table at the moment stands like this. City with 22 games played, 56 points. Liverpool with 21 games, 45 points. Chelsea with 23. 44, West Ham 22 games, 37, Tottenham with 19 games with 36 points, Arsenal 35 points with 20 games, Man United 21 games, and they have 35 points, Wolverhampton 31, Brighton 29 points, Leicester 25, Crystal Palace and Southampton 24, 23 for Villa, Brentford, Leeds 22 points, 19 for Everton at 16, with 3 games in hand as well as Watford, who have 14 points in 17th, 21 games for Norwich played, and they're 13 in the 18th place, Newcastle 20 games played and 12 points, Burnley bottom of the table with 11 points. To Spain now, and we move on, of course. La Liga round 22 kicks off this weekend, and it kicks off with Espanyol versus Real Betis on Friday. Levante versus Cadiz kick off things on Saturday. Villarreal versus Mallorca, Sevilla versus Celta Vigo, big game I think for Sevilla. Atletico Madrid play Valencia, at Granada play Osasuna on Sunday, kicking off the action there. Real Madrid versus Elche on Sunday again, after meeting them in the Cup and eliminating them in the Cup. They play in the league, but this time it's a Bernabeu. Vallecano play Athletic Club on Sunday as well. Real Sociedad, Getafe, and Deportivo Alaves host Barcelona. So the games I'm going to focus on, obviously, I think in my opinion 3 games are really worth focusing here. Sevilla versus Celta Vigo is one. Obviously after the result that Celta Vigo or Sevilla had in the midweek, dropping points against Valencia, or should I say Valencia missing out on 2 points considering the circumstances and the way the game went off, because Sevilla really chose to defend and play on the counter. Atletico Madrid playing Valencia. Atletico Madrid eliminated from the Cup. 16 points behind Real Madrid on the table. Even the top 4 doesn't look that secure at the moment. Real Sociedad could usurp them in that position. Still, they play but a bit of a tough game it is for them against Getafe, although the position of Getafe in the table at 16th doesn't suggest so. But still, it's going to be a tough game. Atletico Madrid, as I mentioned, play against Valencia. Valencia might want to be motivated because this is the version of Atletico Madrid that everybody fancies to get points of. Mallorca beat them at home, really, so you can't really say much more about that. So, and also, of course, Deportivo Alaves versus Barcelona. Every game for Barcelona matters this season, and after being ousted of the Cup again, they only have the league and the top 4 actually in the league. Let's be realistic, the top 4 in the league and playing in the Europa League. So they're going to be cashing, I think, all of their chips on the Europa League and the top 4 in the league. If you ask me which one is harder, I think it's the top 4 through the league is much harder, because Real Sociedad, if they keep their form, it's almost impossible. The only way I think they will be in the top 4 if both Atletico Madrid and Sociedad collapse over the end of the season, because I see Betis keeping their spot at 3rd. I see them being in the Champions League next season. I think they have enough in them to just beat maybe most of those teams in the middle of the table and in the bottom as well, and maybe get a couple of points out of the likes of Madrid and Sevilla and Atletico. They can do so. Barcelona, I think, do not have the same luxury. Yes, they have a load of exciting youngsters. The squad is pretty fit at the moment. They can have a proper squad of players to choose from. They can rotate. They can play different players in different positions, and they can try different things. But they don't have enough intensity, enough sharpness at the moment to beat anyone or to be favoured over anyone in the league. They can lose to any opponent of that table in the league. And they can drop points to anyone in that table in Spain at the moment. The game against Alaves should be easy. I mentioned should be easy on paper, but Alaves have been known to cause some troubles for Barcelona in the last couple of years. They have some good results against them. Alaves drawn against them twice in the last 5 games. Yes, they didn't defeat them per se, but they're known to cause a couple of upsets. Along the way, they get points out of Real Madrid and Atletico and Barcelona. Alaves, they're known for doing this kind of thing, despite being at the bottom of the table, really, and in the relegation spots. So overall, 3 games again are big. The 2 questions, I think, or 3 questions I have is, can Atletico Madrid have enough in them to keep the top 4 spot, since the league title is gone now, and they can't dream about that? Then you have, of course, Barcelona. Can they beat Alaves and regain some of their confidence and momentum after the loss against Bilbao in the Cup. And as far as Sevilla are concerned, they should beat Celta Vigo. They must beat Celta Vigo if they want to have any chance, as I mentioned, to keep in the title race. And if they win, it's 1 point behind Real Madrid, and you never know what's going to happen in the Real Madrid Elche game on Sunday. Albeit, of course, Real Madrid, you expect the first teamers to return. You expect Casemiro, Modric to start. You expect Benzema to return. You expect a full squad. You expect a strong squad, and you expect Madrid to win against Elche. So that's going to be the big question. The table of the league at the moment stands like this: Real Madrid with 49 points, 45 for Sevilla, 37 for Betis, 33 for Atletico Madrid and Sociedad, 32 for Barcelona, 31 for Rayo Vallecano, 29 for Villarreal and Valencia, 28 for Athletic Club, 27 for Espanyol, 26 for Celta Vigo, 25 for Osasuna, 24 for Granada, Elche 22, Getafe 21, Mallorca 20, and the relegation spots of Alaves 17, Cadiz 15, and Levante with 11 points. To Germany now, it is round 20 of the Bundesliga kicking off on Friday with Eintracht Frankfurt facing Arminia Bielefeld. Supposedly should be an easy game for Eintracht Frankfurt at the moment for Oliver Glasner's boys. Hoffenheim play Borussia Dortmund to kick things off on Saturday. That is a big game for Dortmund at the very least, of course, to keep the chase behind Bayern Munich in the table. Bayer Leverkusen, on the other hand, trying to keep their top 4 spots, and they face Augsburg. Borussia Mönchengladbach, after defeating Bayern, losing against Leverkusen, and now they play Augsburg. I'm not going to be, play Union Berlin. I'm not going to be surprised if they lose against Union Berlin. I think they've drawn the first game, if I'm not mistaken. They actually lost the first game to Borussia Mönchengladbach, to Union Berlin 2-1 in Berlin. So that, I think, translates it all. Even the last 2 results before that are a couple of draws against them in the 2020-21 season. So I'm not going to be surprised if they lose. Union Berlin are a really good side there. I mean, they are 5th on the table. They're actually way higher than Mönchengladbach at the table, who are having a tough season, Mönchengladbach, with Adi Hütter. They're not going to live off the results they have against Bayern. I mean, they were eliminated, by the way, out of the Cup of the DFB Pokal against Hanover in the midweek 3-0. Same thing goes, I think, for Union Berlin, who were eliminated from the DFB Pokal as well. Freiburg, Stuttgart on Saturday, continuing with the action in the Bundesliga. The Freiburg, of course, trying to regain a spot or 2 in the top 4. I mean, they will rely on other results happening, of course, with direct competition or direct matches, head-to-head matches between those top 4 contenders. Dortmund play Hoffenheim, as I mentioned. Union Berlin playing, and Leverkusen playing Augsburg. Mönchengladbach playing Union Berlin. Freiburg will try and capitalize maybe on those results. Stuttgart, I think, are pretty up for the taking. They're 17th with 18 points. They're really clueless this season, Stuttgart, in my opinion. They didn't do enough with Pellegrino to justify being in a higher position than where they are at the moment. Greuther Fürth, sure relegations, of course. Greuther Fürth play Mainz. Bo Svensson is still doing a very fantastic job with Mainz for the 2nd season in a row. He kept them in the league last season, and he's doing really well. They are in a safe place at 10th at the table. The thing that they need to do now is to improve the finish. They improve their position on the table, which is very likely to happen. I can see them finishing maybe 8th or even 7th on the table. I mean, anything could happen, of course. VfL Bochum playing Köln, of course. Köln, a side that I'm very impressed with as well. This season, they're doing so good under Steven Baumgart. The loss against Bayern will not really be talked about that much because it's a loss against Bayern after all, but they were eliminated from the Cup against Hamburg on penalties, of course, in the DFB Pokal. They will try and bounce back against Bochum, a side who's very tenacious as well, able of providing the odd result as well. VfL Bochum, they're not exactly a side to be taken lightly. They have some good results as of as of late. I mean, they defeated Wolfsburg, although Wolfsburg are not exactly the measuring stick this season, but also they defeated Freiburg this season. They have some good results. They defeated Hoffenheim, so they don't exactly, and those two sides, Hoffenheim and Freiburg, are sides that are in the top tier of the table. They're fighting for the top 4 places. Leipzig played Wolfsburg in a game that in any other time, or even, I mean, last season, I watched this game because I thought it was very interesting between sides that are playing the top 4 spots. Today, or in this case, it's pretty different. Wolfsburg are a mess, are a shell of themselves. They're on a worse streak than any other side in the league at the moment. They're really in a bad position, not just eliminated from the Champions League, but also completely losing their footing in the league. I mean, for 7 matches now, for 8 matches now, they've been winless, including, of course, 7 losses and a draw. The draw was goalless against Hertha Berlin and at home. They seem to not have a clue. They're hovering around the danger zone, around the relegation zone. They're only 3 points of Bielefeld in the playoff spot, which is very, very dangerous as far as Florian Kohfeld's boys are concerned. Dominic Tedesco, on the other hand, he's improving Leipzig's fortune. Maybe he will get them into a top 4 spot, which is very likely considering the gap between them and Leverkusen at third is only 4 points compared to them and Dortmund, which is 12, or them at Bayern, which is 18 points. But definitely, he's doing a good job with that side at the moment. Dominic Tedesco, he's really doing well, and he's improving their results, and they're qualified in the Cup as well to the quarterfinals, so that's another good result. They could win a trophy. They missed on that last season. They could win this season, so it's going to be really, really good for them. And the champions finish off the round on Sunday afternoon by playing Hertha Berlin, a game that shouldn't be taken lightly. Hopefully some of the players return to the starting 11 and to the side. Of course, Leroy Sané returned. Lucas Hernandez is continuing the train with the team. Goretzka is still going to be out for a while. That's going to sting. But also Alphonso Davies, after his heart problems being announced, of course, the most of doctors said that it's not a big issue. He will be checked in a couple of weeks. He will return. Hopefully, we will get him before the round of 16 of the Champions League, which is, of course, the biggest competition you can ask for as far as Bayern are concerned, since the DFB Pokal is gone and the league I think is going to be won. Definitely Bayern are going for the 10th title. The Champions League is, of course, the big goal as far as Bayern are concerned. The table of the Bundesliga stands like this: 46 points for Bayern, 40 for Dortmund, 32 for Leverkusen, 31 for Hoffenheim and Union Berlin, 30 for Freiburg, 28 for Leipzig and Frankfurt, Köln with 28 as well, Mainz with 27, 23 for Bochum, 22 for Mönchengladbach and Hertha Berlin, 21 for Wolfsburg, 19 for Augsburg, 18 for Bielefeld at 16th, and Stuttgart and Greuther Fürth in the relegation spots with 18 for Stuttgart and 7 points for Greuther Fürth. And to cap off, of course, the episode, let's go to Italy now, and Serie A round 23 taking place over the weekend, of course. On Friday, Hellas Verona play Bologna, Udinese a trip to Genoa to start things off on Saturday. Inter play Venezia, Lazio play Atalanta. It's going to be a promising game, I suppose. Cagliari play Fiorentina, Napoli play Salernitana on Sunday. Spezia play Sampdoria, Torino Sassuolo, Empoli Roma, and the big game, obviously, Milan play Juventus on Sunday night. I want to focus on the game for a bit, just talking about Juventus. They definitely seem like a team on the right trajectory at the moment. Gaining victories, gaining points. Victory in the Cup over Sampdoria is going to improve the momentum even more, getting one step closer to a trophy, potentially, maybe, because I don't think they can win the league unless they make a late surge, which is possible, considering the momentum they're in at the moment. Unbeaten for 10 games. 1 loss in the last 11, and you can see the momentum that they're forming, even though their performances are not exactly, convincing. You look at the games like against Roma, the game against Venezia, the draw there, the game against Napoli wasn't exactly convincing for most of it. Definitely, they look like a side that is inconsistent in terms of performance, but the results they're getting are really, really important in their fight for a top 4 spot, and maybe, as I mentioned, even for a late surge. I mean, the 9 points of Inter, it's not impossible. Yes, Inter Milan have a game in hand, Atalanta have a game in hand as well, so that top 4 dream might even be blown up in smoke, but who knows what could happen, really. It seems like Juventus are in a better form than some of the teams around them. Atalanta not consistent enough, Lazio, maybe even Napoli, I could say that to them as well, but definitely Juventus seem like the side with a better chance at the moment to garner on some momentum, garner on some results, and go on onto a surge to win that last spot, maybe at the top 4, even go higher on the table. And I mean, it will be a great finish if they manage to be 3rd or 2nd on the table, because considering the start of the season they had, the whole situation in Juventus seemed to be disappointing and negative. If they manage to turn things around and beat Milan, who are in a weird position, I would say, at the moment, because they're 2 points behind Inter Milan, but definitely Inter Milan with the game in hand, they have the chance to make this 5 points, which could be much, much harder until they meet again. Until they meet in the second derby, of course, second Milan derby, which is going to be more crucial, I think, the closer the gap becomes. Milan also, you know, winning in the cup against Genoa, good results there as well, but again they lose in the league to Spezia to almost negate that immediately. They have to make loads of rotation. They lost both of their centre-backs to injuries, to long-term injuries in Simon Kjaer and Tomori, so they have to almost make shift every game they go. They're pretty depleted, which is unlucky, really, because, as I mentioned in previous episodes, when the season got thicker for Milan, they lost their players and they didn't have enough players in the squad to really rotate and play on all those fronts. At the table, of course, the Serie A stands like this. Inter Milan 50 points, 48 for Milan, 20 with 22 games, of course. A game in hand, Napoli with 46 points. A game in hand for Atalanta, they have 42, 41 for Juve, Lazio 35, as well as Roma and Fiorentina, 31 for Torino at 9th, Verona with 30 points, Empoli 29, 28 for Sassuolo, Bologna with 27, 23 for Udinese, 22 for Spezia, 20 for Sampdoria, Venezia with 18, Cagliari 16 points at 18th, Genoa 12, and Salernitana bottom of the table with 10 points. That caps it off. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I was your boy, the HID of the PSP. Like, share, comment on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social media, the usernames in the screen and the links in the description, and of course listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform. And goodbye until the next episode. By the way, for the African Cup of Nations round of 16, I'm going to make a separate video. It's going to go hopefully tomorrow on a Saturday. It's going to go up to preview what's going to happen in the round of 16 anyway. Until then, I will be seeing you soon, and goodbye. Behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.